The right-wing Heritage Foundation's Project 2025 outlines a plan for a potential Republican presidency in 2024, aiming to reshape the federal government along conservative Christian lines. Their agenda includes abolishing diversity initiatives, curtailing LGBTQ plus rights, undermining public education, and promoting religious exemptions. The document prioritizes Judeo Christian traditions, sidelining non Christian beliefs, and seeks to solidify religious dominance in American life. This plan signals a concerning future if those with this ideology are seated, highlighting the importance of civic engagement. This story is from The Friendly Atheist, published October 3rd, 2023. So, Aaron, what do you have to say about that intro?
Well, you know, I kind of browsed through this Project 2025 PDF. It's 940 pages long, and this article kind of hits the highlights. And I just have a few questions for people out there on what kind of country they'd like to live in. How would you like to live in a country where an incoming president fires all the Christians? How would you like to live in a country your neighbor is start bashing on Christians and saying really bad things about Christians? How would you like to be in a country where the schools could be bashing Christians and teaching that Christians are bad? I could kind of go on and on and on some of the policies that they want, and the policies they want these policies aren't meant to bash Christians. They're meant to actually help Christians, but if by enforcing these policies, by passing these policies, you're basically putting yourself you're doing the same thing just to other people. If you wouldn't want an incoming president to pass policies that discriminate against you or make you less of a person because you're Christian, then you shouldn't be supporting policies that do things to non-Christians. I'm really quite shocked at some of what's in this document and what people want a president to do when they get elected. Phoebe?
Well, here's the thing. They don't realize they're cutting their own throat with this manifesto. This manifesto it cuts their throat as well, because once you implement this, the person who implements it doesn't need them anymore. Just think of that. You implement this and you give all that executive power to one person. You give it all to them. They're cutting their own throat here. This Chick-fil-A meets Hobby Lobby wet dream that is going to create some mass exodus from the United States. Doesn't matter where, Canada, Mexico, the Bahamas, Cuba, any country but here will do. And that's exactly what will happen if this ever sees implementation in the United States. You'll just have Gilead on steroids, if you've ever seen the television show The Handmaid's Tale. I mean, Gilead, you ain't got nothing on this nonsense. I mean, in the television show, they don't hold the pretense. Here, they're holding the pretense, and they've got this all worked out. But these are the worst things that I've seen humans write down on a piece of paper in a very, very long time. Some of these things are just absolutely dog whistle, unenforceable nonsense that doesn't even pass muster. It wouldn't even pass muster, as someone from Australia said, at a Liberal Party youth barbecue. It wouldn't even pass a couple of rounds there. Some piss up in a brewery. It's so ridiculous. And all of these things that they keep coming out with, it's like when they passed FEC versus Citizens United. Not only when that happened did the right-wingers who were cheering it not realize that cut their throat too. And I don't just mean, did it as well, because it'll be the end of this. And I don't just mean, the non-profits or me. I mean, it'll be the end of free media as we know it. This is the same. It'll be the end of this. And I don't just mean the four of us or anything else. I mean, it'll be the end of the internet as you know it, if this ever becomes a real thing. And it is one of those things that they don't realize just how repressive and absurd this 930-page toilet paper manifesto is. Blatant.
I love it when she rants. First and foremost, from my perspective, just the name Project 2025, it sounds like the title of a coming of age story where a group of teens have to throw the biggest party their town has ever seen so they don't end their high school careers as losers. That's what it sounds like. One of them goes on to marry a head cheerleader. The main character figures out that the girl that's been his best friend since the third grade is the love that he's been seeking all along. That's what this sounds like. Project 2025. We in theaters coming this summer. I don't know. Now that I've got that out of my system, here comes the dread because these people are not going away and the fight against wokery continues. It's really just a continuation of everything we've seen unfold since 2016 when the gates of hell opened and Earth began its boss battle against Florida man in government form. This is nothing new. It's just the newest label put on the never-ending effort for fundamentalists to create the Christian sharia law in the U.S. We've seen this
New York
before.
man in 2016. He's more.
Oh no, he's Florida
man.
It's Florida.
He was
man.
New York man in 2016.
He was a
He's
Florida
the
man in New
prototype.
York. Florida man in New York clothing is what he was.
That's the prototype for Florida man. So, like I say, it's a continuation of 2016, but even in that, I'm joking because this stuff has been a part of American history since its inception. But as we've all seen in the last decade, it's kind of an acceleration into the insanity. And it makes me grateful that I'm speaking to you all from the other side of the world. So at least we still kind of have the illusion of safety here. So I guess I'll just say hopes and prayers from Japan. Everybody. Jimmy, how do you feel about it?
I think the acceleration of insanity is a really good characterization of what we're seeing from the extreme right. And I don't want to get too political, but I do have to point out differences in what we see now versus what we saw under the presidency of George Bush or George H.W. Bush or Ronald Reagan. I want to plagiarize for a moment, if I can, from former Republican Congressman Joe Walsh, who stated on his podcast the other day that there is no more Republican Party. You know, the way that we think about Republican Party is a lot different than traditionally it has been identified throughout our history. I mean, this party of small government has really started to take a turn toward political cronyism. And I think it's evident in their assault on education specifically. And the fact that this Heritage Foundation, who has been instrumental in advocating and seeing to the appointment of several Republican candidate members or sitting elected officials, they also want to attack, they say it openly, the education system, which is certainly not a good thing. I understand, you know, the party of small government might want to do that, but there is a place that we kind of need government, and ensuring that our education system and that our citizens are getting a proper education, I think, is a good direction to go. The types of elected officials that advocate for these types of things are interested in the here and now, right? The position of power that currently exists in their status quo. And that's why they make such a good partner with clergy and with religious organizations, because those people too are interested in those very things. Maintain the status quo, maintain the power, and it just seems like they're helping each other do it. And so I don't think that they're going to go away either. I think that this kind of swing toward extremism is probably going to continue.
But
Aaron? Oh, go ahead, Phoebe.
But what you were saying, though, it's true, though. We really should be worrying about this, because what this would mean, it would be the end of the career civil service. It would all be political cronies. The end of the rule of law as we know it. Yes men only. No sound policy-making decisions, no due process, no right of review, end of freedom of information, end of government transparency. And all for what? The Banana Republic of Wisconsin on steroids? What? I mean, Wisconsin is notorious as a Republican gerrymander, and it's on the verge of becoming a banana republic. What? We're expected to just go, yeah, that's fine in this day and age, because that's the reality of what could happen to the United States. I mean, banana republics existed and they were laughed at, and they don't exist anymore. But banana republics are making a comeback, and could be the United States.
Yeah, there are. It's kind of scary when you kind of think down and contemplate the type of people that would actually write this manifesto, because it's a manifesto. It feels like a manifesto. It's really really extreme. There are people that want this to be a Christian nationalist country where everything is based on the Bible and biblical teachings and conservative Christian teachings. And I don't think it really matters why. Maybe it does. It just matters that what that's going to mean for people, right? It's going to mean, this is stuff right from the book, and I this manifesto, and this I kind of mentioned earlier, that they want to be able to teach religion in schools, not science. They want to enforce that children can only be in families with a cisgendered male and female parents. So they want to require you to rest on the Sabbath and close businesses. They want to take tax money and give it to religious organizations. They want to deny access to contraception. They want to decrease available of adoption services, again, to only cisgendered couples. And really, it's a death cult that's focused on saving souls over saving people's lives. So this is real. This is real, and this is dangerous stuff.
Okay, are we engaged in hyperbole here? Are we all a little bit over the top? And look, okay, a few fringe people have decided they're going to write some, waste of time paperweight. They're never going to see the light of day. Should we really be taking these people seriously? I mean, come on. It's 930 pages of toilet paper that, would do better, as compost. I mean, come on. Seriously, these people are just nuts. Come on, I'm right?
10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago, I would say, yeah, they're just loons. They're just the fringe. They're outside. Nobody cares about this. It's a joke. But in the last week or two, we've seen the House of Representatives in the United States vacate the speakership because they fired him. There were like a handful of people said the Speaker of the House is out of here. And now America does not have a functioning government, essentially, because of that fringe. Those few people that just said, I don't like this, out of there. So absolutely, we should be taking this seriously. Like I said, a couple years ago, I'm like, it's a joke. But that acceleration into insanity is a very, very real thing. And these fringe people are expanding their power. Even if they're not expanding their numbers, they're definitely expanding their influence. So I would say yes.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think that we've seen evidence of this in laws, particularly in schools in some of our favorite states in the United States. But these policies are very real. And it's shocking to me, or alarming to me, I should say, that they want to revamp the education system. And it's because they gain their support by people that they can remain ignorant, right? Or that they can keep ignorant, excuse me. And we've seen this in Florida with the banning of books and with dictating what teachers can and cannot do in the classroom as far as what they can teach and who they can teach, what they can call their students, whether or not they have to report what students want to be called by, as if there's like no right to privacy, and that the education system is now being used as a tool to put the ideological will on, people who just find themselves as victims, as somebody who's somebody who's politically motivated. And so I think that that's what we're seeing. And we would see more of that if more people took this seriously, which I have to say is probably likely to happen, since it seems to be heading in that direction. I don't see it backing off in any way. And so, yeah, I would take it seriously. It reminds me of the topic we spoke about when we said, is it, worth trying to stop racism that might not be there? Yeah, it is. We have to look for the problem where it can grow, because we know that it's been growing, right? And even if we're wrong, at least we're combating it in a way that prevents it from rearing its ugly head later down the line. So, that I guess my long answer is very real.
Yeah, we really have to take this seriously because, like I said, this is a genuine manifesto. People want to make these changes, and there might not be people out there that know about it. And so I think that's one of the reasons we're here is we're like a warning voice. Bill, hey, there are people out there that want to turn your country into a Christian nationalist country. So be careful and stay alert to that possibility. And if you look at the demographics of our country, of the United States here, it's changing. It's becoming more secular and less religious. And so this is the only way that these people can stay in power is to convert this country into an authoritarian state. And that's the real goal of this, is to convert this country and become authoritarian so that whatever the leader says goes, and nobody has rights anymore except for those that the leader grants. This is a very real threat, and it needs to be taken seriously.
So to answer my own question, I just need to look around the world. I don't want to be in a Turkmenistan, a North Korea. I don't want to be in a China. I want to be in an America. I want to be in a country which has freedom, which has democracy. I like this. I like the internet. I like the non-profits. I like me being able to do all of this. And it's one of those things where you can't do those things in those countries. You can't do this in North Korea. You can't do this in Turkmenistan. You can't do this in China. This would be heretical in China. This would be a shootable offense in North Korea. And in Turkmenistan, you'd be paraded through the streets and have a watermelon thrown at you. I mean, this has to be taken seriously. I don't want my own throat to be cut along with them cutting their own throats. We've been going on about Christo-fascist takeovers, and this is the manifestation of it in a 930-page compostable toilet paper paperweight. And on that note, if you want more about what the problems with Christo-fascism is, click here.